Welcome everyone, Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL Smart Money Alliance, and this is our daily distribution partner training and support call. We have this Zoom webinar most Mondays through Fridays at 8 o'clock Central. We'll usually start about a minute early like we are today, and we'll exchange ideas and thoughts and address even concerns that may exist. We have a variety of different types of distribution partners. All are very important. We have affiliates who it's free and easy to be an affiliate, of course, and they just simply refer in and have no further involvement other than getting paid, which is important. We have our financial literacy educators, and those are our professionals that are actually working with our clients, mentoring them. Now, this didn't always exist, and I have to be the first to admit, our service model historically wasn't strong. Now it's exceptional because every client is assigned a financial literacy educator who's their mentor, works with them over that initial 4-week period to help them gain the financial literacy that they often need and to help them guide through the process of putting together their loan package. So we have affiliates, financial literacy educators. We also have branch office managers who are working with us to set up incubators in their areas and joint venture partners. But that's not the focus of today. I want to maybe open your eyes a bit differently to show you how simple this should be. And I'm going to give you a greater depth of detail to support that. So our premise is that every one of you that care to engage will write at least 20 key person policies in the month of November. We're recording this on October 30th. It's almost November now. If you follow this plan, we are confident that you'll write at least 20 key person policies in November. How much will you earn from that? Somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000. It depends upon the size of the policies. Do you have to be licensed as a financial literacy educator? You do. You can't do this without it. But that's what we're going to focus on, is a relatively simple and sustainable way to absolutely, no pie in the sky, no too good to be true, how to earn $10,000 to $20,000 a month, predictably. All right, so how are we going to do that? Well, we have to have both a lead source and we have to have a product or a program or a service. I'm going to get to leads in a minute. Let's start with what it is that we're offering. Specifically, what's the problem? Most small business owners do not have access to capital, not the capital they need to start, grow, reach their potential. That's a fact. No one's going to dispute that, right? So how are we going to provide a solution to that? We believe that a great solution is our Access to Capital program. It sits here on the Access to Capital page on contrarianab.com. There's an embedded 9-10 minute YouTube video if you've not seen. It has incredible benefits. Let's go through those briefly. It includes a guaranteed $100,000 capital raise. Hardly a day goes by, someone will want to call BS on us and say, well, you can't guarantee a $100,000 capital raise. Oh yeah, we can. We're going to work with that client from wherever they are now to get to where they need to be to raise at least 100,000. 100,000 is not the cap or the ceiling or the max. But to say otherwise would suggest, well, we don't live in America. There's no way that you could live the American dream. That's for someone else. No, we know it's much simpler than that. We have to identify the right source or sources of capital for each client. We have to help them meet the credibility standards to qualify. And guess what? You get funded. You absolutely get funded if you qualify. The problem is most small business owners don't know what type of capital is right for them, and or they don't meet the underwriting criteria. They don't have the credibility yet. That's what we're doing, right? We're not the lenders. The world doesn't need another bank or credit union. We are technical advisors. So the guarantee is strong. Fast, we're going to help them build their loan package in 28 days. Again, I have to admit, in the beginning, it was taking longer than that. And part of that was because we were writing with Nationwide. Nationwide's a great company, smart people, successful, but took too long for the underwriting. Now we switched over to AIG. Man, we're popping through those policies if it's clean in 5 to 10 days, which means the policy's issued, the key person policy to include in the loan package, and what? You're paid. Frankly, you're paid 40% even when you just submit it, but we'll get back to that. We're going to provide an assigned financial literacy educator to work with each client during that 4-week process, and they should be having scheduled weekly calls. Earlier on, we went through some growth pains, and we had some clients that said, oh, I don't know where I'm at. This is taking too long. Support's not good. Not anymore. They are assigned a financial literacy educator that's working with them, pre-scheduled calls on a weekly basis to get through that initial 4-week period. Another big benefit of the Access to Capital program is that some sources of capital are based only on the EIN. Like we have that new MasterCard, EIN only, no personal guarantee for a MasterCard. We're not talking about some net 30 account where you have to go buy some overpriced office supplies. We're talking about a MasterCard that you can use anywhere. So there are some sources of capital that can be obtained under the EIN alone with no personal guarantee. That is part of the process. There is no minimum time in business, no minimum credit scores, and no upfront costs. What do you know and what do I know? If we can avoid upfront cost, we're going to be able to cast a much wider net. So when you look at the Access to Capital program, because again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to figure out how each of us can make at least $10,000 to $20,000 in the month of November, which starts in 2 days. So we know that we're going to need a lead pool, which I'm going to get to in a moment, and we know we need something to offer them, some problem that they have that we can help them solve. This is a really good solution to the problem. Well, what do you do with it? You just simply help them fill out this simple application that's right here on the page, but referred by you, of course. Hit send message. We can get you a landing page that's specific for you and even simplifies it further. But regardless, worst case scenario, you contact your prospects, which I'm going to solve that problem for you in just a second, and then you help them fill this out and send. And there's a great flyer on here too that's pretty slick. Okay, so if we want to earn $10,000 to $20,000 in November, we know there's 2 things we need. We need some sort of product, program, or service to help generate that income, a solution to a problem. We've covered that. Now, let's say that you say, well, I've drank that Kool-Aid. That makes sense. 28 million plus small businesses, most of them needs capital. This is no upfront cost, so we're going to be able to cast a wide net. Going to have a high conversion ratio. We know that the key person policy is part of the loan package. And so I'm going to have a credible relationship with them. If you're one of the mentors, you'll be working with them during that 4-week process and helping them protect their assets, save for retirement, get a collateral assignment based insurance policy through AIG is a no-brainer. So hopefully we're all good there. We should be. If not, type into the Q&A and we'll figure out. So here's the solution to the problem that we should be leading with. So what's left? Well, we need clients. We need prospects. We've kind of given up in the sense to say, fine, we will just give you the leads lists. We've shown you where the leads lists are before, but frankly, that's not working on a consistent basis. So we've hired, and that's part of what we were doing yesterday, we hired a data analyst, and she is going to provide you leads in a freaking spreadsheet. Now let's talk about that. So we use Data Axle Reference Solutions. We have it, we're covering it. We're not asking you to go sign up for it. Data analyst sits there at her desk and is going to provide you leads. Let's go through that. Now, there's many different types of leads. Let's focus for a moment on new businesses. Now, again, you won't have to navigate this because she's going to do it for you. I just want you to see how it works. So let's say that you have Charlotte, and Charlotte Dumas is on the call here. And Charlotte, you're in Southern California. Charlotte, can you put in the Q&A? I think you're in Los Angeles, but if you wouldn't mind confirming that, we're going to do a leads list for you as we're sitting here. So what we're going to do, I'll show you a few of the options. We're going to focus on DBAs. Now we don't have to, but what that means is, thank you, Charlotte, Los Angeles. So these are businesses that have filed with their local county, I guess Los Angeles County, but they've not necessarily formed a LLC, C Corp, or S Corp. So they're probably earlier on, maybe a little lesser sophisticated, which means they have less access to capital. They may even become a good prospect for our incubator, but don't worry about that at this time. Okay, so we know that we're going to filter on new DBAs, and then we're going to do a metro area of Los Angeles, California. And again, I'm not asking you to learn this to do this. Frankly, I've given up on that. We're going to do it for you. And why do I not see Los Angeles as a metro area? How am I missing Los Angeles? Oh, LA. That lowercase a made me overlook it. So now we're going to update count. Okay, and let's go ahead and filter on a date range, and we'll say this year. We'll do last 9 months, I guess, to keep it simple. Okay, so we have DBAs filed in Los Angeles County, Long Beach metropolitan area past 9 months. I think we're good. Let's update the count. Oh shit, Charlotte's got 30,000 prospects. That's too many. Charlotte's good, but she's not gonna have that much time. So let's go down to last 3 months. Update count, 10,000. Well, Charlotte's good. I don't think she's got enough time to call 10,000. Let's just do the last month. Update count. All right. Well, Charlotte, I'm sorry. You got 4,552 small businesses to offer the no upfront cost access to capital. All right. Now, we could certainly put other filters in, such as business location type. So we click that, and it allows us to choose just home-based businesses if we wanted. That's probably even better, right? Because if they're a home-based business, they don't have a commercial address, they have less access to capital, they're a better prospect for our incubator as well. But let's just see what happens if we filter and include home-based business. 1860. Let's work with that for now. And we're going to hit view results. And so here we have 1,860. Charlotte might say, hey, give me kind of a feel for where these folks are. So we hit a heat map, and here's where new businesses are forming in her area. So there's some hot pockets, but pretty much all over the place, aren't they? All right, so let's go back to those results. And let's pick one. And I didn't pre-plan this or pre-screen, so forgive me if we get a goose egg here. Let's choose Golden Eagle because it just sounds pretty cool, based in Monarch, California. All right, so we got Golden Eagle, based in Orange County. We've got their address. We know it's a home address because I'm pretty sure that we filtered on home-based businesses. And the SIC code, non-classified. When we see this, we really like it because it means that they may not be sophisticated enough to have their Dun & Bradstreet profile set up, which is meaning that they have, again, less access to capital because a non-classified establishment means that no one knows what industry they're in. So lenders would infer that they're high risk because we don't have any reason to think otherwise. They filed a DBA, it's a home-based business, and we have their phone number to call. Now, let's call a spade a spade. It's a cold lead, right? These people didn't contact us. They didn't say, hey, I'm interested in that access to capital program. I need funding for my business. But what does Charlotte know? What do I know? What do you know? Almost every small business is wanting and needing capital. We are a 501c3 now, weren't before. We have a no upfront cost program. So is it going to require someone to call Golden Eagle at this phone number to let them know what we do and then maybe help them fill out this short form application to see if they qualify? It will. That's the work that's involved. But let's do the math on the work, because it's very difficult to earn income without work. Now, what we'd like to do is have the most income with the least amount of work. That's kind of a smart thing to do. It's not lazy. So let's just say that Charlotte called Golden Eagle. There's a decent chance they won't even answer the call when she makes it, because she's calling from a number that they don't recognize. So she'll probably have to leave a message. Now, Charlotte's smart. She's going to turn around and send them a text right after she called them and left a message, a brief text that explains why she reached out to them. And so those 2 points of contact will increase her reach rate. Some of these phone numbers won't be any good. Now, let's go back to the search criteria. Revise search. These should have been validated numbers, and that's part of the benefit of using Data Axle. So they tell us that they've confirmed that those numbers are good. I can't promise it's good. She might call them and it's an out of work number. I can't help it. Now, Charlotte mentions a great point. Reference Data Axle, used to be called Reference USA, does not provide email addresses for free. And so I don't recommend that we spend money buying emails for these prospects. I do recommend that we call them and then turn around and immediately text them, a brief text. Texts, frankly, are a much more effective way, but I like that 2 point of contact. Now, what Charlotte knows, and I know, and many of you know, in sales, typically it's follow-up that gets us where we need to be. And so Charlotte's diligent enough that she wouldn't just call once and send one text and say, well, that didn't work. Well, we're calling them out of the blue, right? We have a great solution that's going to make you a lot of money, and we're going to talk more about the money in a second. But the bottom line is, it's too good to be true to think it's going to be as simple to call 100 small businesses and 100 of them answer and 100 of them fill out the application. That's pie in the sky. But we do need to look at the value of Charlotte's time and your time. So when we know that Charlotte, if she initiates the client, she has first right of refusal to be the mentor. As the mentor, granted, she's going to have 4 15-minute calls with the client over the month, but she's also going to what? She's going to get paid for the key person policy. She's going to get paid a % of the capital raise. Now, the policy should be written in the first month, especially since we switched to AIG, simplified underwriting for most people. 500,000 or lower policies, age 50 or below, is non-med underwriting, right? No paramed visit, no fluids necessary. So we should be able to get Charlotte her first $500 to $1,000 in the first 30 days of that client relationship, which is initiated by the client filling out this application. So let's just say that Charlotte doesn't sell a very big policy. It's only $500. Sure, her commission's only $500. Well, then it's a function of how much time did she have to put in. Even if she worked all day long, 8 hours in a day, Charlotte doesn't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that. But let's say I had to work 8 hours to come up with one client that filled out this form, that went forward, that came from this database, that's going through the process and bought a key person policy. Well, that equates to Charlotte making the equivalent of $500 for this day. If she did that on a daily basis, that's $2,500 a week. That happens to be $10,000 a month. I think Charlotte will produce at a much higher level than that. But when you look at it that way, we've got a formula here that anyone with just reasonable competence can earn $10,000 or more a month. Not pie in the sky, not exaggerate, not even selling you anything, right? This isn't some opportunity you need to buy in. There's no cost to be a financial literacy educator. They charge you for the background check, I know, but they'll reimburse you for that. If you're not licensed yet, you do have to get licensed. Blame the state bureaucrats. It's insurance law, but they have a reimbursement program. They'll reimburse you for becoming licensed. So, you know, we're not charging. We're not profiting off of your background check. And when you pay to get your fingerprints done to become licensed, if you're not, we don't get some kickback off of that. So there's no revenue to us, but what we can do together is we can help these small businesses have access to capital, and you can build an agency. Successful people build teams. And we're not MLM, we're not network marketing, and you start using words like teams and everyone wants to think about that. But you don't create wealth. Was it J. Paul Getty that said, I'd rather have 1% earnings of 100 men's work than 100% of my own? There's only so much time in the day. So what we can do is invite other people to become financial literacy educators. If you wish, if you don't want to do it, I don't care. But they can become financial literacy educators on your team. We don't charge them to do so, but there's still the background check and the licensure. Of course, it's required. And then they replicate this. You might say, well, wouldn't that create competition? Well, let's go back and let's take off the filter of Los Angeles, Long Beach metropolitan area. We'll leave the rest of these filters. Let's just see how many new DBAs that we need to call from the last month nationally. Update. According to this, 13,000. So we need enough team members. Well, let's round it up because we're pretty darn close to 14,000. We need enough people each month to make 14,000 calls. Now, of course, it's always about return on investment, return on your time. But again, what are we offering? We're offering a no upfront cost program to be able to guarantee them a $100,000 capital raise. So let's do the math for a second. So let's go back to that number and we'll be exact. We won't round up. So we've got 13,958. What do we think is a reasonable conversion rate? And I'd like you all to respond into the Q&A box. If we were to call all 14,000 or so and call them and text them, follow up with them reasonably, not bother them or harass them, what do you think is a reasonable conversion rate, or what percentage of them do you think that if we reached out to them diligently would participate? Barry says 10%. Daniel says 30%. Robert says 20%. Kwong says 3%. Monique says 2 to 5. I don't know what it would be because we've not been successful in getting our distribution partners to do this, but obviously that's what we're focused on now. Let's work with 3%. That's the lowest number that was stated. So that would mean that we would bring on collectively 418 new clients in the month of November. And let's assume that we sell a reasonable size key person policy that again helps protect their assets, create a retirement plan, serves as a collateral assignment. And so let's say that we make $1,000 commission per. So it's almost $500,000 of commissions that's available to be earned using that simple math. Now, remember, we haven't been doing this, right? So we don't have just last month's, we have all of them to call because we've not called any of them yet. So that number really is 140,000. So let's kind of wrap up the conversation and get your feedback. I will pay out of my pocket a data analyst to give you leads to call using this method. So there's no mystery. It's coming from Data Axle Reference Solutions, right? There's no mystery. Now, we will get you leads in your area. Frankly, it doesn't matter because this is done remotely, but I guess you could argue if they see a number that's a local number, they're probably more likely to answer. But I think most of them are not going to answer your first call anyway. It's not going to be that simple. But it's going to take a couple calls, couple follow-ups. Some people will convert. Our goal, as we've kind of jointly discussed, is let's hopefully convert 3 to 5% of them. Now, if you don't want to make the calls, you don't have to make the calls. Someone has to make the calls, right? Because we've got this database we've just showed you. Let's go back and let's view the results on a national basis. We can even do a heat map nationally. It'd be interesting to see. I've never looked at that. Let's see where all these people are mainly forming their businesses. I digressed a bit, but so my point was, oh, wow, look at those hot pockets. But I guess that ties to where, in general, there's more density of population. Of course, there's going to be less new businesses. That doesn't mean that there's none in South Dakota, but there's fewer people in South Dakota. But those are the hot spots nationally. But the point is, someone's going to have to reach out to the prospects. And if you don't want it to be you, you can have it to be someone else. Well, who could that someone else be? And then how would they get paid? Let's talk through a couple scenarios. If you don't want to make those calls, you can outsource it. Scenario number one is you could have a team of affiliates. Affiliates don't write the policies. They don't work with the clients. They just reach out and fill your funnel. And in exchange of that, they're compensated right through our affiliate structure. If you have an affiliate that generates a client, then you have the first right of refusal to be the mentor. They get paid 1% of the client's capital raise. You get 1%. There's a lot of people that are unemployed right now. Not everyone's diligent enough to sit down and make a bunch of calls, granted, but some people are. So scenario one is build a team, one or more people, of affiliates that will make these calls for you. You manage them, you oversee them. The leads that come in will be placed with you. You'll be their mentor. You'll work with them over that 4-week session. You'll write the key person policy. The affiliate's not going to make any money off of that key person policy, assuming that they're not licensed. Now, you could have licensed affiliates that make the calls for you, and then you could do some sort of commission split. So what are we talking about? If you don't want to make the calls, which is okay, scenario one is have a team that makes the calls for you, kind of an internal team. Scenario two is get a call center. There are calls, you can go to upwork.com, and some of you've tried it with mixed results, but you can just hire people, often from third world countries that are less fortunate than you and I, and they'll work very affordably to do this. We've hired a call center in the past, and it's worked. We're going to be probably re-engaging that call center in November as well, based upon how busy you all can keep us. So 3 scenarios, because we've got to reach the prospect and let them know that we have a potential solution to their problem. So that can either happen by, and we'll give you the leads. So either you can, let's get away from the, let's go back to the list here. So either you can make the phone calls, you can have team members, which I think is pretty smart, having a team of affiliates make the phone calls, because then you have no upfront cost. Or third, you can outsource it to gig workers through Upwork. Guess what? They're not going to work for free. You're going to be paying them hourly, maybe $3, $4, $5, $6 an hour. But I kind of like option 1 or 2. Option 1 would be you do it. Option 2 would be you have a team of affiliates do it. Scenario 3 is paying someone up front to do it. So let's open it up for Q&A, but hopefully what we've accomplished is we see the grand opportunity that's in front of us. It's not too good to be true. It's not pie in the sky. There's over 28, and again, there's many other filters that we could use. Here, we were just looking at DBAs. You know, if we didn't restrict it by DBAs, let's say that we also included LLCs and corporations, and we looked at just the last month. We'll take home-based off, so we don't care if they're home-based or business-based. You know, this is going to stun you, so it's going to probably too much to handle. But you know, there's 250,000 prospective. So there's, what's the point? No shortage of prospects, and almost all of them have a problem: access to capital. We've got a solution, and the way we've structured it now is no upfront cost. And you and I both know when we can avoid upfront cost, we're going to be able to avoid a lot of the scrutiny, a lot of the delay, and cast a much wider net. They come in, you're the mentor, working with them over the 4-week process, helping them develop their personal financial statement, helping them learn things that they didn't know before that they need to know. And then ultimately you're helping them develop the key person policy, which is good for them: asset protection, cash accumulation, retirement, and also collateral assignment. and then we go through the process. They get funded. We charge them a performance fee, right? It's not free. And then we share that with you. All right, so who has questions on today's overview? Let me dismiss some of these prior responses, and if you can type in your questions, comments, concerns. Now, I know that there's some of you that say, I just want to write the policies, I just want to work with the clients. I do not want to have any involvement with generating leads. Well, fine. So then what you're going to need still is the leads to call on. We'll provide you a leads list, but they're cold, right? We're not going to set false expectations. These are not prospects that are awaiting your call, but statistically, they're prospects that have a problem, right? Access to capital. And so you're going to have someone call them. Don't look to me and say, Tom, you just feed me 1 million people to go work with. I know that we've been giving out leads, and we've been keeping Ned and Brian and a number of you busy, but at some point you need to be involved with this process. And so either you can make the calls, you can have team members make the calls, which is what I'd recommend, affiliates that don't need to be licensed, and or you can outsource it. All right, so Joseph's asking about data axle. Well, you got to pay for this. I'm offering to pay for it, and I hired a person to do this for you, Joseph. But if you want to go get a subscription, it's not proprietary. You can go to referenceusa.com and you can sign up and pay for it and do these same searches that we're doing. I'm just trying to remove barriers because we've been talking about this for a while and a lot of you just aren't doing it. And so it's like, all right, if that's the barrier, then we'll do it for you. And we're not selling you leads, right? We're not charging you for it. Okay, let's see. So what do you need to do to be able to get these leads? We need to have the background check done, and you need to be signed up and ready to do the mentoring, right? Because we're not going to flood our in-house staff with doing the mentoring. So this is an opportunity for you to be involved with the lead development using this process, no cost. And then of the leads that you have that come into the system that fill out either this brief application here, hit send, or your landing page, then those will be the clients that you work with. You might say, hey, I'm just an affiliate, I'm not licensed, I don't want to work with clients. Then great, we can have you make those calls if you want to make the calls. Now, some of you, like Monique's on the line here, and Rainier, some of you are developing as many leads as you can handle under other models. And that's fine. I'm not suggesting change what you're doing. Some of you are very successful. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But I also see on the other side, there's a bunch of you that are not successful with this model. And I just wanted to simplify. Here is how you can make $10,000 to $20,000 a month. But to answer Charlotte's question, how to get the leads, we need to make sure that your background check's done, that you're set up with AIG so you're ready to roll. If you're not, then what we would need to do is get you involved with someone that can be a mentor and work as a team. So you'd be kind of the workhorse generating the leads for that mentor to work with. All right, let's see what other questions we have. Yeah, so Nationwide's great, and we all are keeping our appointments with Nationwide. It's just they're backed up. Their underwriting is taking too long. So they're great people. I have nothing negative to say. Great, great, great company. However, we now are writing with AIG, and I actually showed you all on a training earlier this week how to go in and get your AIG appointment. So if you need help, let me know. And again, some of you just simply want to make the phone calls. You don't want to work with the clients. And so that's the affiliate role. That is fine. And so if all you want to do is be an affiliate and generate the leads for other people to work with, that's okay. That's an important role as well. Okay. And yes, Christopher, just use our Calendly link and we can certainly schedule a call. And Charlotte's asking about scripting, and I'll come up with a new script, a refreshed script from what we had developed before that you all can consider using for this campaign. All right, so with that, great to visit with you again. I hope this is useful because again, we see some of you prospering and some of you are struggling. Typically, the difference is, do you have leads to convert? And this is a proven way to access a lead pool without any cost to be able to have the conversions you need, which generates income. We want each of you, even if you're working with us on a very part-time basis, to be generating $10,000 to $20,000 a month. That means it's meaningful. That's an adult income. You're going to have respect for yourself. You're going to stick with it, right? But man, if you're on goose eggs month after month, how many times do you want to keep getting on these webinars and hearing the talk? Because that's all it is talk. If you're not able to monetize this, this is the simplest way to monetize, simplest way to help access small businesses access capital. No upfront cost proposition, nearly infinite number of free leads. Work with them, follow the process. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.